Hi guys, it's your girl Naya here. Sorry, I look kind of red. But anyway, in this video, I come to you from ground zero. Totally kidding. Um, as many of you know, we are quarantined right now and self-isolating. I am in San Antonio, so there are many cases of corona here. I'm just trying to keep to myself. But in this video, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I experienced yesterday. So I by no means am hoarding. I'm not going and buying everything in the store. But the sad thing was, so I went to the grocery store. We have a brand here in Texas that's called HEB. That was the store that I was going to. A family member had given me a gift card so I can get some groceries and some food. So my sister and I, who is also an ex-LHer, we went to the grocery store. When we got there around 7:30, the hours and everything had changed. So the grocery store is only open from 8 to 8, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And so we get there around 7:30, and I start to see that there's a line forming. Sorry, I look like a conehead right now. Squirrel. But anyway, yeah, we got to the grocery store around 7:30, and this is a relatively kind of small HEB. It's not like HEB Plus or it doesn't even have the gas station, so I would consider it a relatively small grocery store. But we get there at 7:30. I see that there's a line. It wasn't too crazy. It wasn't too bad. I sat in the car, and we just kind of watched, and everything. And so time goes on, and Trinity approaches the security guard and is like, if we are getting a scooter, do we need to wait in the line, or what do you suggest? Don't get me wrong, we weren't trying to cut or try to get in before anybody else or anything. We were gonna wait our turn. We weren't expecting special privileges or anything. We just wanted to know the proper protocol because we didn't see anybody else in a scooter or anything like that. And the security guard's no, just kind of wait and just kind of visually place where you are. And we're okay, so we sit and we wait in the car because it's also raining. So as time approaches the 8 o'clock, the line has kind of gotten extremely long at this point. I would say maybe a block and a half long line. But so it's 7:55. Trinity gets me a scooter. She's more able-bodied than I am. So she gets me a scooter, and the reason I chose to go to the grocery store when it opened was because I did need things like meat, chicken and milk, basic groceries is what I needed. So we get there, we're just kind of sitting there. Trinity gets the scooter and the door is open. So she makes her way to me. Of course, we're letting the line pass, blah, 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 blah. And as it approaches our turn to go into the grocery store, the manager stands in front of me. And I'm he's like, you can't go in. And I was like, well, why not? He's like, you just can't. And I was like, okay. And I was like, was it the scooter? Was he a safety concern or what? Because the people really weren't acting that crazy. They got their carts if there were carts, and they just went to get their groceries. There wasn't fights. There wasn't people oh my god, I have to get the last roll of toilet paper. No, it was everybody was being civil. And I was like, okay, is it the scooter? Is it a sanitary thing? Y'all are the ones that left the scooters outside where the line was. So I was like, is it the scooter? If so, I'll get my wheelchair. But that's kind of the same, that defeats the purpose. And so he's like, no, you just can't go in. And I was like, okay, well, we were here at 7:30, where we would have been in line has already passed. And so, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go around him. And he proceeded to move in front of me, and he wasn't telling me why I couldn't go. And so I'm like, okay, I'm here to get groceries like everybody else. I'm not causing a scene. I'm not doing anything. My sister's right there. And then it took someone else being in a scooter that, like, I guess they were in their spot in line to go in. And I was like, okay, you just let that scooter in. It's obviously not me. It's not the scooter. And I was like, and he like completely ignored me. And so I just went around him and I went in the store. I'm already in the store. You can't kick me out of the store. So we're in the store, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, okay, so I get that some stores are letting elderly people in, which is great. Because it's going to come, there's times in the day where there's not going to be anything on the shelf. Basic necessities aren't going to be there. Whether it be milk, bread, eggs, you know. By the time we got to the back of the store where, like, the milk and the eggs were, there wasn't any eggs. So I get that, and I'm all for stores opening and letting the elderly go in early or later, whatever the case may be. But also, I think that some stores, just my personal opinion, should also consider the disabled and let them go in earlier or have, like, specific help. Yes, I know that, like, HEB specifically is doing, like, curbside and delivery, and that was an option that I looked into. I was like, okay, well, that'll be a lot easier if we can just get our groceries. Because I have anxiety issues. I don't like being around large crowds. I don't like to be around a lot of people. I've had bad situations in stores where people have confronted me and questioned my, I guess, disability, questioned my lack of mobility. I mean, they see colored hair, tattoos, piercings, young, they assume that I'm just not disabled. I don't know what the case, but it's happened many, many, many a times where I guess I can talk on that subject a little bit too, where people actually questioned. I've been with my sister, and my sister is noticeably bow-legged. And obviously, if you have XLH, you're familiar with this. It's a characteristic of having XLH is being bow-legged. And before I started having the surgeries and everything, I was noticeably bow-legged too, but I was also very mobile. And then after I had my surgeries and I had the damage done and everything, it came to a point where I was no longer able to, like, walk in the store to do, like, basic grocery shopping or, like, just, you know, I had to rely on a scooter or a wheelchair. And people are very rude, very, I mean, people just need to have manners. They don't know the struggle that we go through. I remember one time I had actually made a comment. Someone had asked, like, a person at the register, or I don't even remember exactly. They were like, oh, do you have, like, a military or blah, blah, blah discount? And I was like, how about a disability discount? And he was like, well, that actually makes a lot of sense, and I'll give you a discount. Because it takes a lot of effort for someone who is disabled to get up and go to a restaurant or get up and go to the store. And I was like, you know, being disabled, I'd never thought about that before. I was like, it does. You know, there's a lot of things that we go through that a lot of other people don't go through. Like, I have the anxiety of being around large crowds. And right now, even though we're supposed to be self-quarantining and isolating, there are going to be people buying all the toilet paper and buying all the water and buying all... And it's in the world's in a panic mode right now. And because the people are in a panic mode, people are a lot more rude, whether they're trying to be or not. Like that manager, I don't know why he didn't let me into ATB, but the whole point of the story was just to vent about a manager and being disabled. And, you know, like, and it kind of sucks that it was for HEB. Like, as a total side note, my grandfather designed a lot of the HEBs when he was alive. He was the architect, and he would know the HEB by number. We grew up down the street from this HEB that I went to yesterday. That was our familial HEB, and it was just kind of discouraging. And it's like, going back to, like, the HEB curbside and delivery, the closest that I can get for either one of those options was 2 weeks away. I needed groceries right then and there. But of course, feel free to tell me your stories if you have any suggestions or anything like that. Please reach out to me. Thanks.